We're only 2 weeks from Election Day, and abortion access suddenly has moved way up on the list of things that are important to folks when they're thinking about choosing the next governor. Today, we hosted our second debate with the City Club, and it had 4 Republicans who are running for governor. And of course, we had to ask them about the potential striking down of Roe v. Wade. And you might be surprised, they did not all have the same answer.
I happen to be pro-choice. I believe that that is constitutionally protected right now, and I really urge the Supreme Court to uphold that. That being said, it's codified in Oregon state law, and so for me, you wouldn't see changes to this piece of Oregon law, and I think we need to support women's health. It's really an important part. Oregon is pro-choice. I'm pro-choice, and we should remain that way.
I believe that the Constitution does not protect in the Constitution a right to an abortion. I believe it's up to the states to decide, and Oregon has strong laws that currently protect their rights. So I will obey the law.
I would agree with the decision. I am pro-life. Like most people in the state of Oregon, I disagree with the policies we have in place now that allow abortions up to and including the moment of birth, taxpayer-funded abortions, and now millions of dollars allocated for what we are now referring to as abortion vacations for people outside the state to come in here, use our taxpayer dollars for their abortions.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. This is what all the work, the hard work, and the donations and the activism has been all about. The overturning of Roe versus Wade. I will sign any piece of pro-life legislation that comes across my desk. Any piece of pro-life legislation that we can restrict the abortions happening in this state, a state that's essentially become a tourism state for abortion. You can have abortions from conception all the way until the afterbirth of that child. I would sign any restriction that we can have.
Stan, you mentioned Right to Life. The anti-abortion group, Oregon Right to Life, did not endorse you. What's your response?
Yeah, I think it's gross. Especially now when you look at how the other candidates are answering this question, now that it's come true. This is the moment of truth, right? Where are candidates on this issue? I have 100% completed positive pro-life questionnaire in front of Oregon Right to Life. I have a history of activism on this issue. I certainly deserve the endorsement, and I think that they should look at it again.
They didn't endorse you, though, because other parts of your life didn't square with what they feel are conservative
with their mission?
Christian values.
Yeah, well, I apologize, Laura, but I don't see any of those things in their mission statement. Their mission statement is about protecting life, the sanctity of life, the life of the unborn, and I'm 120% advocate, for those issues.
If Roe v. Wade falls, would you support Oregon as a growing refuge where people from other states could legally obtain abortion, a growing refuge, and to what extent, if so?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think that we should be paying for other people's health care that don't live in our state. And I know that there was some dollars that were allocated recently for that purpose. I think we're going to see some changes. I don't know what they're going to look like. This decision isn't final yet. But in general, I think that we should keep our funding for healthcare for Oregonians. I would also like to mention, too, that we have these candidates here have all stated that they're in favor of medical freedom when it comes to mass vaccines. And it's really inconsistent. And I'd like to, point that out. I think this is about bodily autonomy, and I am supportive of medical freedom. That includes abortion, vaccines, and any other procedures that are legally available.
Pro-life issue, I think those of us on the pro-life view the issue as protecting life, and it's not a medical procedure in our mind, and that's in our view. So that's where the disagreement lies. And society has to move forward and make its decision. On the pro-life side, we're always going to push for life over death. And we don't view an abortion as a medical procedure. And that's the disagreement.
Christine Drazen was invited but did not attend. She dropped out just hours before the debate. Her campaign didn't really give a reason, but they did say that she's been involved in a lot of debates so far. She is endorsed by the Right to Life group called Oregon Right to Life, along with Bridget Barton and Bud Pierce. And as you heard, the PAC decided not to endorse Stan Pulliam. Drazen's campaign sent us a statement this afternoon saying the unprecedented leak of a yet-to-be-finalized U.S. Supreme Court opinion represents a grave attack on one of the core institutions in our country. I have never shied away from my pro-life values, but will wait for the court's official opinion before commenting further. Betsy Johnson, Tina Kotek, and Tobias Reed also sent statements, each supporting abortion access. You can watch the full Republican debate right now on our KGW YouTube channel, along with last week's Democratic debate between Tina Kotek and Tobias Reed.